talking with two-time defending Midwest Truck Series champion Brandon Reichenberger. I bet you never had that on your bucket list.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought winning one was cool, and you always, beginning of the year, you set your schedule of trying to run all the races, and you hope you have a chance, when it comes down to the end. And yeah, they were. I mean, like anything in the Truck Series, it was down to the wire, exciting, close. The first one was literally down to the last couple laps of lacrosse, and last year was kind of the same thing. Kind of a little bit of the underdog, I guess, going into last year's finale at the Dells, and just stayed with it all day, and end of the day, came out on top.
You grew up with your dad, Mike Reichenberger, multi-time champion up at Norway Speedway. I think he's won a couple WIR championships, and he's raced around with the old Arco days and everything like that. That's the obvious part of what drew you into racing and becoming a driver. What was the part that drew you to go from driving a late model to going to a truck?
Mostly just the idea of cost. With everything in the super late model world today, I mean, it's so expensive to do that, and we did it for a couple of years here at Kaukauna. Ultimately just came down to budget, really, and if I'm going to do something, I want to go have a chance to win. I don't want to, know that I'm going to, if I can finish in the top 7, top 8, that's like a win. I want to be able to go there and actually get a checkered flag and have a chance to take home the trophy. So we just, back in 2020, we were kind of looking, what do we do? 21, we finally made a decision towards the end of the year that, let's give the truck thing a whirl. The class was growing. I like the idea of the 602 crate engine, one tire a race, fairly cost-effective rule package, and you get to go to a bunch of different racetracks. And prior to running the Truck Series in 22, I'd only been to like 3 different tracks in my career. So it's given me a chance to broaden my horizons and take on some new challenges. And, I think when you can go to different racetracks, you learn different things about yourself, about driving styles, things you can do behind the wheel, and ultimately it just makes you a better racer.
It seems like, according to if I do my math correctly, your expenses to come to the track to race is going to be that one tire that you mentioned. That's about $190, $200, and then your racing fuel and probably the other oil and everything else with it. It seems like your budget's going to be like under $500 to come per race.
It's usually around anywhere from $500 to $700, depending on where we're going with hauler fuel, race fuel, tires. Factor in hotel costs for a couple of the races. I don't really factor in Oktoberfest a whole lot. We always rent an Airbnb for the family to just hang out for a couple days, so which is kind of nice and relaxing. So I don't really count that one. It's kind of a mini vacation, for a day and a half before we actually hit the racetrack. So it's in the neighborhood of about $700, but when you look at that compared to some of the super late model stuff, that's not even a set of tires, for the race, much less a practice set or anything like that. So, the Truck Series continues to grow. I think it's going to continue to grow just as costs go up with things, and that's a good problem to have. When we have 30 trucks showing up, 33 trucks showing up to start the year, and we can average 25. I don't think there's many series around the country that are really averaging 25. Race vehicles. So I like the idea of the 602 crate engine, not having to every year bringing a motor in to get freshened and and things like that. So we got a good thing going, and hopefully we can continue to keep the costs as controlled as we can as a series, and it keeps growing.
And I think the Truck Series should get a lot of credit too, because they're very transparent. So for instance, like at their recent race, they had Chester Ace winning, and they posted, hey, we're pulling the motor out, we're going to take it up to dyno. As soon as the dyno results came back, they posted saying he was all good, and anybody wants to see the information, we'll share it with you, kind of thing. And
that's the whole key, is just transparency across the board. That's one of the bigger reasons why, when we were looking at what we want to do, is we had heard about some of the teching procedures and things like that, and our tech team does a great job. There's nothing under the table that's getting by, and everybody's honest and fair. And like you said, Madison, they pulled out Chester's motor. Mine got pulled at the Dells last year. I've had a tire that got sent in for sampling, and that's all stuff they should be. I have no problem doing any of that stuff, and if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't have a problem with it, because it's just showing the transparency and honesty, and it keeps everybody honest, and so there could be no games played.
Yeah. Turning the page a little bit, this is not your full-time job.
Unfortunately, no.
What is your full-time job?
I work at Pierce Manufacturing here in Appleton. So we produce and manufacture the big red fire trucks, multiple colors of fire trucks, if you will. They're the world's largest fire apparatus manufacturer. So I work in the rear body department there. I'm the pumper rear body manager at our facility off McCarthy Road. So I get to think creatively throughout the day and problem solve, and then when the night's over, on shop nights, I go to the shop, and other nights I go home and play with Chase.
Yeah, I think people can see that right off of Highway 41, if I recall. It's pretty big building you're in there with a nice little red fire truck out front there, so you can't miss it.
Can't miss it. It's right along 41, yeah.
41. And then, I think for a while you were doing some coaching in basketball there. Are you still doing that, or did you retire?
I retired. I did 10 years of it. It got to a point where, I had to make a decision of, when it came to racing, I wanted to be more involved with what we were doing, even more so than I was, and just try and keep an edge, try and continue to gain as much knowledge as I can. And I felt like over the off seasons I was doing just enough, but I wanted to be more involved with what we were doing, and be able to go to PRI and just increase my knowledge bank, and be able to be even more hands-on than I already was. And ultimately, the only way you can do that is if you're focused on it. And even in the summers, my schedule in the summer was just too busy. If there's a work-life balance, there's a hobby-life balance, and my family needed me to be more present too, so something had to go, and I had fun doing it for 10 years, and so I actually am officiating in the winter, but that only takes an hour and a half of my night, and I'm enjoying that too. It's paid exercise.
Do that for the BIA?
Yeah.
So someday we might see you at a state tournament game?
Hopefully, that'd be cool.
My dad did it twice. It was cool.
Sure.
It was cool to see that. You mentioned Chase, and we're not talking about no Chase for the championship. We're talking about the guy who really probably takes most of your time now, your son Chase, and he's coming along probably the biggest improvements in the last 3 or 4 years. Let's talk about how that started, how he was at the beginning, and where he's progressing to now.
Yeah, so his story started, he was born at 27 weeks. He was 1 pound and 12 ounces. And my wife had multi-system organ failure happening all at the same time when he was born. So we had to take him at 27 weeks. He was in the NICU in Appleton for about a month, and then ended up down at UW for about 8 months before we finally were able to bring him home. And then obviously in the meantime, my wife had open heart surgery shortly after that. And then Chase had airway surgery to reconstruct his airway back in 2024. That was down in Cincinnati. All of his airway and pulmonology specialists are down there now. So from where he was to where he's at now, he's come a long way. We've still got a long way to go with some things, but developmentally, he's starting to catch up with a lot of things, and he's overcoming hurdles that at one time we didn't know if he'd be able to. So he's 4.5 now. He's becoming that 4.5-year-old little boy that wants to go to the racetrack literally 7 days a week. Wants to throw a baseball, swing a bat outside in the backyard, and be involved with everything.
I think he's got more energy than you and I do.
Oh man, he's on the go all the time, and when we're out in the shop or even at the racetrack, he wants to be jacking the car up. He wants to, he's figured out how to use a tire gauge now, so now we really have to be somewhat cognizant of what he's doing at the racetrack, because he knows how to hook it up to a.
Why is his car so tight?
Yeah,
all of a sudden we're Chase. Where are you?
Flat right rear tire. Yeah. So he just wants to be involved now, and he's very smart. He analyzes everything. So, when we're at the track or even in the shop, he's trying to jack up his car. He wants to lay under the truck and look at things as we do it. So I'm sure as we go along here in the next year or two, he's really going to be
a third-generation driver.
I don't know. I think he'll probably try it. He's starting to figure out his power wheels, and he likes to drive his car. So we'll probably give him a shot next year at the end of the year, as long as things keep progressing. Maybe take him to one of the local kart tracks and see how he does, and if he likes it, and if he wants to do it, great. If he wants to be the next crew chief for the pit area, that's fine too.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I don't want to force it on him, don't want to push it on him, let him choose his path, but if he wants to do it, that'd be all right with me too.
Yeah. I just remember, like, when you first got him, and you were able to bring him home, you really didn't go home the first time.
Right.
You went where?
We went back to the hospital. We went to the racetrack, I guess. Yeah, before we ended up going back. So, yeah, we came home with him from, I think it was shortly after 4th of July that year, and I think we were at Slinger 4 days later. So, yeah, he didn't make it home much before we ended up going to a racetrack. But at the end of the day, he wants to go to the racetrack every day now. So I guess we started
You started that little trend right real early with it. So it seems like the Trucks Series is going to be your permanent home for a while here. And really seems like this was a comfort level for you, kind of like how James Swan and some other drivers are.
I love it. I like the fact that we get to go to different racetracks. The idea of weekly racing, to me, just the change of scenery, it can become a grind, especially when you get to like end of July and August. And it's nice that we have a couple week break, in between, get to go to different racetracks and, quarter miles to 5/8 miles and, a good mix of that. And my dad and I have a car in the WIR quarter mile late models here on Thursday nights. So we run that about every other week. And
you got 3 feature ones, so his 1 feature one. You just told me that earlier. We got to clarify that. So.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's been fun. When we decided to do it, like I told him, if you want to keep racing, you just keep racing, and I can wrench on it. I have no problem doing that. And it's been a fun experiment for us. We've had a chance to kind of put some of our ideas together on that, and really no pressure. It's laid back, and so far we've had a pretty good year with that car. And the last couple weeks here, that car that we put together has won 3 out of 4. So we're having a good little run there, and hopefully that'll continue. But I'm just having fun doing the trucks, having fun, racing with Dan Devine, Macville Motorsports, 4 or 5 races. It's about 20 to 25 races a year, but it's spread out to where it doesn't feel like it's an actual job.
You got some good sponsors backing you too.
Got a lot of good people that help us out. Pete's Auto Repair and Sales, they've been my primary sponsor the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. Ken Sports, Wendricks Truss, QA1, Barricade Flasher Service, Fairways Lawn Care, Bits and Pallets Depot, Tim Mulry with the Corp Racing, 9-Tool Wraps and Shirts, Global Fab, Menco, all those people that help us out. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do it. Jay's Barbecue.
What about Bryce Miller Motorsports?
I
see you're wearing their T-shirt.
I got a 31 Motorsports.
Oh, 31 Motorsports.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been a fun addition this year too. Is teaming up with Trevor Rasky and 31 Motorsports.
Yeah.
It's been fun having a teammate at the racetrack and being able to talk things over. There's certain ideas, things that they've done in the past, and things that we've done that we communicate on. So had a blast being a teammate, with Tristan this year, and he's obviously having a good year, which is great. And obviously we got a long year ahead of us yet, and a lot can happen between now and then. But we're just going to keep going to the racetrack and taking it one at a time, and let the cards fall where they may.
And the points are closing up. So.
As we've found out, it really doesn't usually matter till Halloween or Oktoberfest.
Exactly.
So we'll just keep swinging and essentially just try and do the best we can every race, and one race at a time.
Great. Hey, good luck the rest of the season. I know I'll see you plenty more times, but always fun catching up to you and checking out, because you and I go back to, what was that, almost 12, 13 years ago? You and I were helping sweep the track at
Norway.
That one night, and I know someone got a picture of me going down there, and you're ahead of me on the broom. I'm behind you on the broom, and I'm thinking, I think that's where we probably got to know each other. It was that night at Norway, but Norway is still a fun place to go to.
It's still one of my favorite racetracks. I'm partial to it because that's where I started my career. Once I got into 4 cylinders and then in late models. So I love going back there, and running up there with Dan Devine a handful of times this year has been.
That's cool.
Been like going back home. Kautokeino's 8 minutes from my house, but Norway's always kind of been my home behind the wheel.
It's a nice slow drive up there too.
Nice.
Hey, good luck the rest of the season. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.